Well. Good morning, West Ham fans. It's Friday. It's nice and sunny, and we welcome the Cherries to the London Stadium tomorrow. Make sure you check us out for the match day morning, as per usual. If you didn't see it, go and see last night. We had Stevie Lomas on the channel, and a great time was had by all. Very friendly was old Steve. Also, we spoke about Graham Potter, unsurprisingly. He's the revelation about him having a break clause in his contract. And as you mentioned, for me, I think some people are looking at it in the wrong context. I think it's very much a case of he knew the size of the task that was in front of him, and 6 months wouldn't have done it. And also, we've got previous, haven't we? Someone coming in, looking after the side for 6 months, and then the club telling him to F off and bringing in another, like we did with David Moyes under the first one. So I think our card is very marked with those short-term loans. So he knew he wanted a bigger contract. To be honest, as I said, I think it was on one of Gio. I think I was watching Gio's on Wednesday, I think it was. It was a great little mini rant he did. And one of the points made was that he wasn't forced to take this job. He's turned down jobs before. I think it was mentioned Ajax and Leicester or Everton, and a couple of others as well. He's on a fair wage at Chelsea and still on a wage. I mean, we're still paying Lopetegui and his staff at the moment. So, he could really pick and choose the side he wanted. And, there's clearly enough to entice him to West Ham. And so, I'm not for a second surprised that he wanted a longer deal than 6 months, because he knew, he's a clever dude. In terms of the old tactics and stuff like that, he'll know how much up 𝙎𝙏 𝙎𝙏 we are without a paddle, defensively particularly. And I think that was, and that's where I think that the criticism's coming. For example, I mean, I totally understand people having enough of it. I totally get that. I think the trouble is if he'd come in at the beginning of the season, I think we could see building. Okay, well, the idea is building blocks, and to be fair, we gave Lopetegui the benefit of the doubt until he proved us wrong. And I know from an attacking perspective, it's not great, but I think that he's got many fires to fight when it comes to West Ham. There's defence, the midfield, and the attack, and you can't sort it all in one go. So clearly, for me, he's prioritised making us defensively solid. And I think, looking back, the beginning of the Moyes success period we had in terms of league, in terms of qualifying for Europe for 3 years in a row, the only time ever we've done it in our history, winning a trophy, all that was on the basis of a strong defence. We have the defence tight, and then we nick the goal. That's why Everton are doing decent now, relatively quickly, because they had a decent defence. They just couldn't score. We could score, but not a defence. So regardless, we could. It'd been like 𝙎𝙈 when it was in the extreme. They'd score 3 and then concede 4, so they still lose a fucking game. So realistically, they needed to sort out the defence, and we've seen all these stats about West Ham bottom of XG and bottom of in the league in terms of what's it called, like shots and goal, whatever it is. But no one's ever had to look at the defence. And if you look at the defence and the defensive stats, I know it doesn't necessarily reflect in the results, but the wheels are turning. And that's why I am sticking with Potter. Everyone's, he's more than welcome to have their own opinion. But for me, I'm sticking with him. Giving him until next summer, until next season, to see where he's at. And if worse comes to worse, there's a break clause at the end of next season. What that entails in terms of compensation, if we got rid of him before that break clause, the club see this as a long-term appointment. And the fact is, we've been signing a lot of players, a lot of academy boys to their first pro deals, to long pro deals as well. The likes of, Ollie and the likes of Lewis. Obviously, we signed Rayan and Longry recently in terms of their first pro deals. But let me show you defensive stats. If you're looking for, and I know it's not sexy. It's not, it's not forward play. It's not. I know it's not sexy, but unless you've got a decent defense, you ain't got a chance in this game. You ain't got a chance. And as I said, I think Potter made a really good point in his pre-match rather for the Bournemouth game, saying it's fine margins, and it is. I mean, not being funny, looking at the game again. I was watching that Wolves game. If one or if my auntie had bollocks, be my uncle, but if that ball was a little bit in front and Ferguson had scored it, it was going to all do the header and Emerson trying to bicycle kick and if Souček, there was enough opportunity to get something out of that game. I mean, we weren't clinical enough. That's something which needs to be addressed. I think that would be addressed when you bring in the right people to do that job. And I think defensively, we still need at least one or two recruits in the summer to make his defence as strong as we can get it. But he ain't done bad with what he's got so far. Let me show you. Let me go full screen. So this is goals conceded in the first 20 Premier League games. So everyone had played 20 games. West Ham, third or fourth from bottom. On average, we were conceding 2 goals a game. Last season, what was that? What was our stats last season? Let's have a look. Where's the table? Last season, because I think this continued 𝙎𝙈 in terms of last season. It was very similar, if I remember. Let's have a look. So we finished 9th, 38 points, 78 goals conceded. So pretty much 2 a game as well. We scored 60, and we were still at a minus 14, which was the worst goal difference in the top 11. So there was 3 couple of teams below us who had a better goal difference than us. And actually, Bournemouth 13th. Actually, the top 13 play sides had a better goal difference than us. So when you haven't got your attacking players as well, because they're either injured, got in a car crash, or broke their foot as well, you've got to make sure we're shoring up that defence. So as I said, this is what it was pre-Potter, PP. And this is where we are now. We've played 10 games. So some of these sides haven't played 10 games yet. The likes of, I think it's Newcastle and stuff like that. So they'll be conceding even more goals. So from 17th, we are now 5th. And indeed, if you look at the difference between 17th and 5th, and that change in 12 places, we are... Where is it? We are... Where is it? Top of the league! We are top league, so we are top league. So from relegation to Champions League in terms of goals conceded, and now with that difference... So there is a marked difference already. And in terms of where we are in terms of average goals conceded per game, we're pretty much, we are second really to Crystal Palace, and they still have to play. I think they're 1 game behind, but it shouldn't make much difference. We're conceding on average half as many goals as we were conceding in the first 20 games. And that to me, and the sort of the relative, and not just that, in terms of goalkeepers, saves, things like that. Our goalkeeper under Potter is having to make 27% less saves than he did 10 games ago. Some of the stats, he's made 8 saves for this game, and it's mental. So, but it's not sexy. I grant you, it's not sexy stuff. It's not exciting stuff. But you can't build a mansion on shit foundations. It will crumble. As sort of 𝙎𝙈 was going for a period where they were scoring loads but conceding lots. I mean, how many they conceded so far this season? I mean, Tottenham are... I'm not just using Tottenham as an example. I'm just sort of exemplifying a point, really. So Spurs have scored 55 but conceded 43. So that's less. I mean, Brighton have conceded 48, a lot. Brentford, but they're scoring more, where we're conceded 50. Bang on 50 now. So for me, that's why I'm sticking. Now, I want your answer. in the comments, just one word, stick or twist. David Sutherland phoned you up today and says, Bob, what do you think? Should we get rid or keep? Stick or twist? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. And I appreciate it's not sexy. The fact is we're getting we've got a tighter defence than we have had under Lopetegui. But if you've got a strong defence, then the midfield have got quality, got sort of reassurance. They don't have to spend so much in a defensive perspective. Same too as the forwards as well. And it builds from the back. It does build from the back. As I said, if the goalkeeper's making less, it means they're not getting through enough. The defence is being stronger. The shots attempted. I didn't do the stats in terms of shots to save ratio, because that one might be interesting. How many sort of clear cut shots they've had. I might look at that if I'm bored over the weekend. But anyway, that's my thoughts. We'll be back a bit later on for the lunchtime show and Hammer's Headlines on the Friday edition, and then tomorrow we'll have Match Day Morning. We won't have a Match Day live. Match Day Morning with me outside London Stadium, bright and early. We'll have Stat Attack, and then we'll have the review show when I'm walking around on my way back. I'm probably bumping into Alex as per usual. But anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you bloody irons. I'm sticking for the time being.